Hello, thanks for tuning in. So I've got a channel here which appeared in my feed. He's only got 13 subscribers. He's a Christian. To be honest with you, I don't look at how many subscribers other YouTubers have got, and I don't look at how many views they've got, or at least I don't really put too much significance on it, because there are channels with zillions of views that are absolutely awful and zillions of subscribers. And there are channels with hardly any subscribers actually that are rather good. So I don't put much significance on number of subscribers. So nevertheless, I was interested in the title of this video. So as you can see in front, he calls himself Market Faith Ministries, Practical Apologetics. So now Christians are haters. I was curious. I wanted to see what he's got to say. So let's have a listen, and then we're going to sort of explore it a little bit. Here we go.
Recently, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, selected Pastor Jack Hibbs to deliver the opening prayer for the House. Hibbs is the pastor of Calvary Chapel, Chino Hill in Southern California. When he did that, many of the Democrats literally went crazy. The backlash for that was spearheaded by Representatives Jared Huffman and Jamie Raskin. Both of these guys identify themselves as non-religious humanists. In fact, they helped found the Congressional Free Thought Caucus in the U.S. House. This is a group that was established to promote policy solutions based on what they call reason and science, and to defend secular government.
Sounds like a very reasonable way forward for those.
In other words, these guys are confirmed atheists who have absolutely no...
Confirmed atheists. How do you become a confirmed atheist? That's a new one on me. Atheism is just the rejection of theistic claims, just to sort of define it in a very loose kind of way.
No use whatsoever for Christians and Christianity. After the prayer, they...
Well, of course, I admit that atheists like myself have got no use for Christianity. That's certainly true. As for Christians, I don't like to put it that way, but I've got friends who are Christians, so I wouldn't go so far as to say I've got no use for Christians.
A letter to Johnson and to the House chaplain that described Hibbs as a radical Christian nationalist and hate preacher.
Okay, let's just stop there. Let's do some research. Okay, so who is this man, Jack Hibbs? Pastor Jack Hibbs, there he is. He's quite active on social media and on YouTube. And he's got an article here, Gay Sex Proves Existence of God and Discredits Evolution, Evangelical Pastor Claims. And he's effectively arguing that if the theory of evolution is true, there should be no homosexuals around today, because homosexuality is a disadvantage. Homosexuals don't breed. Therefore, the homosexual gene should have been wiped out by now. Of course, he ignores the fact that homosexual men often father children, and have female partners, or we're talking about males, of course, in particular here. So, yeah, male homosexual men do have female partners, and for whatever reason, and some of them then realize that they prefer men, they leave their wives, and then they engage in homosexual relationships. But the fact is that homosexual men do actually have children. So, and they have done throughout recorded history, and no doubt in prehistoric times. So that really sort of debunks his whole point. He's trying to kill two birds with one stone there. One is to say that the theory of evolution is obviously untrue, because we have homosexuals. It must be that there's a God who has sort of planted this homosexual urge in us, and it's a test of our virtue to deny those urges and only engage in heterosexual activity. That's his point of view, and he's obviously anti-LGBTQ, a fairly fundamentalist Christian, and he's talked about LGBTQ people enjoying lust and pleasure with one another, and then basically it's immoral. and that these people will suffer the consequences. When they die, they will go to hell. So it's unnatural, etc., etc. All the rhetoric we've heard, all the insulting hate speech that we've heard from fundamentalist Christians. So, okay, well, let's go back to the video and see what else he's got to say, because it seems to me that the concerns of the secular humanists who objected to this particular pastor giving an address, I would think they would object to any kind of religious address whatsoever in Congress. I didn't even know about this. I didn't even know that prayers were said at the start of a congressional session. That's really surprising to me. I thought that religion and the political system was supposed to be separate in the United States of America. I thought that was in the Constitution, but obviously there's something there that I wasn't aware of. Okay, well, let's go back to the video and see what else this Christian has got to say about all this. Okay, here he is. Let's listen to the rest of the video. It's only a few minutes.
Publicly advocated for traditional Christian values in the culture. In his prayer, Hibbs called for
traditional culture, Christian values. You can read into that, obviously not, say, progressive Christian values, which is inclusive and which I suppose embraces different lifestyles, shall we say. And traditional Christian values is exclusive, it's not inclusive. So it excludes certain groups from from being regarded as normal. So trans, LGBTQ, homosexuality, etc. So it's strictly the only kind of union, the only kind of marriage which is allowable is just a heterosexual one. And they are also against, say, same-sex couples adopting children, etc. And typically anti-abortion. Let's keep listening.
Penance of our national sins. Now, when these atheists heard that, they saw that as code for his, quote, radical Christian nationalist agenda. Because he advocates for Christian values, the anti-Christian contingent in Congress literally hate him. Obviously, Huffman...
Well, how does he know? How do they know that the secular humanists actively hate him? It may well be that they don't actually hate him. I mean, some of them may do. There are Christians that I object to their views, but I don't actually hate them. I just disagree with them. So he's stoking the flames. He's fanning the flames. I got the wrong metaphor there. Yeah, he's fanning the flames of this whole thing. And some people have left comments saying there's no hate like Christian love. And looking at this guy, looking at this Christian, that is sort of justified, that comment.
And his cohorts don't see the irony of their complaints. They believe that their beliefs are right and that Hibbs' Christian beliefs are immoral. But based on what? Well, here's what they believe. They believe that Christian beliefs are an affront to pluralism and religious diversity. It's interesting.
Well, it's not that Christian beliefs, he's generalizing a lot here and straw manning. I mean, me as an atheist, I think that Christianity, morality, is mostly fairly sound, except that it needs to come up to date and it needs to be progressive and it needs to be inclusive. It needs not to be so judgmental as it is. And so I'm certainly not, as an atheist, saying that all of Christianity is immoral. Of course, I'm not saying that at all. But the fundamentalist, traditionalist Christianity, I believe, is to an extent, with some of their views, is quite toxic. And maybe that's what the secular humanists in Congress are actually concerned about.
That they don't see the anti-pluralism of their own point of view.
No, not really, because there's a difference between being anti-pluralistic and wanting to prevent certain groups having too much power in areas where they really shouldn't, like in government or in promoting hate speech against minorities. There's actually a difference there, and he's conflating. He's doing the thing that a lot of shall we say, sort of narcissistic, abusive type people do. And they actually accuse others of what they're doing. And I think that he's doing the same. He's flipping it back and saying, well, no, it's you atheists who are hating on Christians. That's where the real hate's coming from. When in fact, I think that all the atheists are doing, all the secular humanists are doing, is highlighting that this is a toxic person and it's not fitting for him to be leading into a session of democratic government. I think that's all they're doing.
Believe that atheist beliefs are true and that Christian beliefs are false, and they are all in.
Well, again, as an atheist, I don't say that Christian beliefs are false. I say that they haven't got a rational foundation because they can't prove the existence of God, and they can't prove that there was a resurrection or that Jesus performed any of the miracles. So there's no good reason basically to believe that the religion is true, and it's therefore not necessary. And we need to use reason and logic and discussion and debate and democracy to develop our own moral and ethical system. That's my point of view.
On the transgender and homosexual movements. And what they want to do now is they want to invite Dan Barker to have a prayer for the House. Now, if you don't know, Dan Barker is the head of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. And he's
Well, if he's a Freedom from Religion Foundation, why would he be wanting to present a prayer to the House? That really doesn't make any sense. That sounds like a false claim. Unfortunately, I've not done the research on that. I should have done. I apologize, but that sounds to me like a false claim. There's no way that an atheist or a secularist, secular humanist would want to deliver a prayer in any circumstance, I would have thought, even in a foxhole.
He's an outspoken, hardcore anti-Christian atheist. He's been responsible for filing many, many lawsuits.
Well, one might have some justification for being anti-Christian, particularly in light of what happened with the Supreme Court within the last year or so, that the Roe v. Wade precedent was overturned in terms of abortion, and now women are having to, they're having to travel hundreds of miles from one state to another to try and find an abortion clinic when they desperately need that health care. So there is a lot of anti-Christianity out there, and I don't like those Christians. I actively despise Christians who stand outside of abortion centers and try to intimidate women. That really makes my blood boil. But thankfully, most Christians are not like that.
Against various governments, local governments and schools to try to get any semblance of Christian ideas out of the public square. They're calling him a non-theistic chaplain. So here's the deal. Why is Hibbs considered a hate preacher for advocating for Christian values, yet Barker...
Okay, well, obviously we've been through this already. Why is he considered a hate preacher? Because he's hating on groups. He's hating on the LGBTQ community for a start, actively hating on them, saying that what they're doing is immoral, that they're going to burn in hell, etc., etc. It's unnatural and all those things, and that they're just doing it for the pleasure. They've got no responsibility about what they're doing. They can't procreate, so it's useless. That's why, that's all the hate that is being directed at those particular groups. That's why.
Barker is not a hate preacher for advocating atheist values and putting down Christians. Honestly, who really is that?
Well, atheism doesn't have values. I think maybe he means secular humanism. But secular humanism doesn't hate on any group, and it also doesn't hate on Christianity or any religion. What it does is raise concerns that the religious, particularly the religious right, have got too much influence in American politics. I'm not an American, but from all the news that I've read and research I've done over the years, and obviously Roe v. Wade, etc., trying to get creationism taught in classrooms, this very much seems to be the case, and it's worth being concerned about.
The hater. The truth is, Christians are not haters. Just because we recognize biblical values as right doesn't mean that we hate those who don't. In fact, we love them enough to tell them the truth about sin that will destroy their eternity.
No hate like Christian love, eh?
On the other side, they really are haters. They literally want to destroy those who disagree with them. Christians should never.
No. Well, of course, I can only speak for myself. I don't want to. Don't want to destroy anybody. Well, I admit that there are a few I would like to destroy, mainly people in very powerful places who are committing horrible evil. Yes, I would like to destroy those. But by and large, of course, other atheists that I know, we don't want to destroy anybody at all. We want to try and persuade. We want to try and persuade by argument, rational argument, and looking at the evidence. Persuasion is what we do. We don't want to destroy.
Never give up their beliefs because of opposition. Instead, we ought to continue to proclaim the truth that real life is only found in relation to Jesus Christ, and that following biblical morality is the only way to find true fulfillment in living life here on earth.
Well, I'm sorry, Freddie, but I've got no reason to believe that what you've just said is true. And all the proofs that I've seen over the years, all the evidence, I don't think you've got any good reason to believe that either.
This is Freddie Davis, president of Market Faith Ministries, a worldview discipleship ministry. Check out all of our worldview resources at www.
Okay. Well, amazingly, this guy's channel's been going for 8 years. He's got like 13 subscribers, and his videos, I've got like 23 views each or something like that. And usually Christian channels have got zillions of views, so, or even minor sort of Christian channels have usually got like 10-20,000 subscribers. So it's really bizarre that this guy has got such a pathetic following. But anyway, nevertheless, I found it interesting because he's a Christian. He's talking about his views, and I like to know what Christians are saying, and I like to provide some sort of commentary and evaluation, and I've done that in this video. So thank you very much for watching. Goodbye for now.